Good morning. How are you guys doing? All right, we'll try a warm up while we're waiting for everyone else. Try those three problems. You can just send me your answers in a private chat and I'll tell you yes or no. Good morning. Try those warm up problems while we're waiting for everyone else, and then we'll do our mindfulness Monday. Good morning. Try those warm up problems on the screen while we're waiting for everyone. You can just privately message me the answers, and then we'll do our mindfulness Monday once everybody gets here. Good morning, Ashley. Go ahead and try those warm-up problems and send them to me. And then when a couple more people get here, we'll start our mindfulness Monday.
Sounds good.
All right. Malachi, you can hear me now. Yay. You can try these warm-up problems and then we'll go over them in just a second. I also want to go over a problem from the PF8 worksheet because it seems like a lot of people struggled with that. Good morning, Valerie. Try those warm-up problems and send them to me in the chat when you have them done. The one I'm going to do from the PF8 worksheet is number, hold on, I can't remember. I thought it was number 5. Yeah, number 5. So if you want to start looking at number 5, you could do that. All right, so let's talk about some of these problems. And I think you guys are getting pretty good at the TVM solver, but you're just randomly putting things in some places. You're just guessing. You're like, I think I'll solve for PV, or I think I'll solve for FE, or maybe I'll solve for payment, but I don't know if I'm supposed to put my value that I have in PV or FE. So that's going to be a problem on the test, right? If you don't have those things in the right place, you're going to get the wrong answer. So we got to practice and get better at that. Hopefully you started the finance review. So here's the answers to the warm-up. 5% of 28,000 should be $1,400. Round to the nearest cent. For number 2, you should get $879.16. And number 3, $1,006.25. Any questions on those? Especially the rounding, because that's where a lot of people are making mistakes. No, everybody's good? All right. So the other warm up that I want to do is from PF8, it's number 5. If you did your worksheet, try not to look at it just to make sure you can do it correctly again. So Mike wants to be able to withdraw $10,000 from his retirement account every quarter for 10 years. He expects to retire in 15 years. If Mike's account earns 8% interest compounded quarterly, how much does he need to deposit each quarter during the first 15 years in order to accomplish his goals? Do you see how this is kind of a multi-step, pretty intense question? Yeah, if you got all correct on PF8, that's awesome. But if you didn't, and I graded them last night, so if you haven't looked, you can pull it up and see. These were the problems that you guys really struggled with. Number 4 and 5 were probably the hardest on the worksheet. So somebody tell me what we need to find in this problem, what we need to do first, second, anything. I'm going to see if I have it on the worksheet, because I think I do. There we go. It'll be easier for us to write our work right here. Nobody wants to do this problem. I can't do this all day. Like, I can't. I can just put you in breakout rooms and give you an assignment if you want, but I can't. It cannot be like pulling teeth from you every day. You know, it can't happen. I already know the math. There you go. Thanks, Malachi.
Hold on, I'm just reading it. So we have to find, so he expects to retire in 15 years. 8%, how much we need to deposit each year, each quarter during the first 15 years. So we have to find how much money he needs to deposit each quarter in the first like 15 years before he retires.
Yeah, for sure. We have to figure that out. I totally agree with you. But we have to figure out something first, don't we? What's the first thing we need to find? Because we don't know how much he needs at retirement, right? So does everybody see that this is a two-part problem?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is a two-part problem. So part 1 is we need to figure out how much money he needs at retirement. That's what we need to find out first. And then part 2 is how much to deposit each quarter. And these are different issues, right? These are different formulas, they're different problems, they're totally different ideas. So if the first part is deciphering that, right? So on this left-hand side, we have some information, right? On this left-hand side, we have some information. Somebody tell me any information we have for part 1 when we're trying to figure out how much he needs to have at retirement.
We know the 8% interest rate.
Very nice. We know that I is 8% or R is 0.08. And that's true for both of them, right? That's true for both of them. What else do we know?
He wants to be able to withdraw 10,000.
Yeah. So when we say he wants to withdraw $10,000, what do we call that in either the formula or in the TVM? Is that PV? Is that PMT? Is that FV? What is that?
Was it the PMT?
Yes, it is. It's our
I would have to-
PMT because he wants to take out $10,000 every quarter. So that's what tells you it's a payment, is if it's reoccurring, right? If it's happening over and over and over again. Now, this one is he wants to deposit each quarter. So, and this one, this is what we're looking for. Okay, what else do we know?
We know that it's compounded quarterly.
Very nice. It's compounded quarterly. So on both, and that's for now and later, right? So PY, oops, PY and CY are both going to be 4 for both of these. Okay. So, and do we know time for either scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's
Um,
time on the first part?
10 years, and then second one is 15.
There you go. So it's almost kind of backwards, right? Because we're trying to figure out he can take out $10,000 from his retirement, but he's not retired yet, right? So we have to figure it out a little bit backwards. No, I think we have all the information we need, but we need to make sure we plug it into the TVM solver right, or we use the correct formula, okay? So if we're doing TVM solver, if we're doing TVM, what are we solving for and where do we put all our numbers? So we're going to say N equals something, PV equals something, PMT equals something, FV equals something, and then PY and CY. Well, we know PY and CY are 4. We know N is 10 times 4, so that's 40. We know our payment is 10,000. So here's the part you're struggling with. Which one do I put, which one am I solving for? Am I solving for FV or PV in this scenario? And read it again. It says he wants to withdraw $10,000 from his retirement account every quarter for 10 years. So which one are we solving for? Are we solving for FV or PV? And don't guess, like think about it.
Wouldn't we need to be solving for FV?
Tell me why.
Because we need to figure out how much he needs in his account to be able to withdraw the 10,000. So then we can use that for the next part to see how much payments have to be to get to that future value.
How many of you agree with Olivia? Valerie's saying no. AJ's agreeing with you. Valerie, why do you say no?
I feel like PV would be better. Just
Why?
because we need to find the 10 and we need to find the retirement, and then we move on to the second part, which is payment.
So it's interesting because you're both saying we're trying to find the same thing, right? We're trying to figure out how much he needs in his retirement account. But you have to be careful. Is it in his retirement account at the start or at the end? So when he retires, is that the amount we're looking for? So then he can withdraw $10,000 each quarter. Or is it after he's been retired for 10 years, we want to know the amount he has in his account? So which one is it, PV or FV? What do you think? Olivia said, oh, a second ago. Did you change your mind?
Yeah, I think it's PV too.
It is PV. But do you see how it's confusing which one it is? So we're solving for PV, and it never says that in the problem, but it's just assumed that you know, okay, if he's going to have to pull out $10,000 out of his account, he has to have money in his account at the start of his retirement. So that's what we need to figure out. Okay. So then this is the second part. Once we figure that out, then we go over here. And we know over here we're solving for payment. We know that because we already figured that out. But FVPYCY. Over here, it's what, 15 years and quarterly, so is that 60? Okay, so once we find the PV, where do we put it in the second part? Once we find this value right here, where does it go in this second part? Does it go in FV or PV? I need to hear from Aaron or Yesenia or Amanda or Ashley or Angelina or Deshay, because AJ, Valerie, Olivia, and Malachi are already participating. So let's hear from someone else. And if you don't know, it's a great time to ask a question. Oh, Aaron, I see that you unmuted, but I can't hear you. That's weird. Try again.
I would put that in the FV. The PV from the first part, I would put in the future value of the second part.
Very nice. So that's where that goes. Excellent. So we're going to put 0 in PV, and we're going to put this value into SV. Do you see why that value would go in SV? So some of you think the TVM is easier than the formulas, but you're not putting things in the right place. So it's definitely not easier if you're getting the wrong answer every time. So let's think about the formulas. If we're doing the formulas for part 1, where we need to find how much in the account at retirement, what formula would we use? And I'll go over here to the formula sheet. There we go. So let me erase all of this. So which formula would we use? Because this actually might be easier for you, believe it or not, if it's helping you identify which formula to use. So in the part 1, where we're trying to figure out that he can withdraw $10,000 from his retirement account every quarter, which formula would we use for that?
The one on the left. Like
Which section would we be in? Payout annuities or ordinary annuities?
Which one? Oh, I used the one on the right. So I was looking at loans. So payment annuity on the right side with payment times.
Very nice. This is the one we would use because we're trying to find P, or the principal, how much he has at the start of retirement. We already know the payment. Okay, so that's the formula we would use for part 1. Now, which formula would we use for part 2? Which one would we use for part 2 when it says how much would we have to deposit each quarter to have that amount that we found from part 1 in our account at the end of 15 years? Which one would we use then? Ashley, Deshay, Angelina, Yesenia?
Would it be present value?
So tell me where we are. Yeah, right here. So you're looking here in ordinary annuities?
Yes.
Okay, ordinary annuities. So you think it's this formula right here?
I believe so. Because for the second one, we were solving for the present value, right?
For the second part, we're trying to figure out how much we have to deposit each quarter to get the amount in our account at the end. So if we're trying to figure out how much we need to deposit each quarter, which one would we use? When we do something more than once, what is it?
A payment.
There you go. So we're going to use this one
Okay.
for the second part. Okay. So if you can identify these two formulas, you will get the right answer. Identifying those two formulas is the hard part besides just putting it in your calculator, right? On TVM, the hard part is figuring out which one you're solving for, because some of you are solving for the wrong value. Okay. So once you do that, try that, whether you use the formulas or the TVM solver. Try that. I'll give you about a minute to plug in to either those formulas that we just talked about or this. And then I'm going to show you the answers and you're going to tell me if you got it right or not. All right, so let's take a look. Did you get for your payment $2,398.52? Anyone get that answer? I'm the only one. Oh, Aaron got it. Valerie got it. So look at the first part. When you solve for PV, you should get $273,554.79. Malachi, did you use the formula or did you use TVM?
No, I use the formula.
I wonder if you just put in a wrong value. Did you put in N was 4?
I don't know. I have to look. I'll redo it. I'll put it in my calculator again.
Yeah, try that. Okay, so these problems were not easy. They were complicated, not for the calculations, but for the thinking. Where do these numbers go? So I graded your worksheets last night, and some of you got a lot of them wrong. Some of you only got a couple wrong, like on these. So take a look at your worksheets because I wrote on them, right, on how to fix them. And you can look at the slides and see the key in there. So is there anyone who's not getting these answers on this problem?
I didn't get the part 2, but it's because I didn't do the 15 times 4 for the N.
Ah, yep, very, very common. Yeah, so Ashley, if you show me your work on the quiz, you know, and I can see that you just forgot to multiply it by 15 or by 4, if you just put in 15 instead of 60, then I can help you, you know, I can give you partial credit on that. So Malachi, on part 2, what you sent to me in your message, I'm not sure why you took that number and divided by 60.
Yeah, that's because like, what is it? It was like quarterly in like
Mhm.
15 years, so I just did that.
But remember, you got to use that formula, right? You got to use
Yeah,
this finance formula. Got to use this formula right here for the second part. Okay, so is anyone getting stressed out because the end is near? Or are you just getting tired? I think people are getting very tired. Okay, so we're going to do a Mindfulness Monday on stress. I thought that would be a good idea. It's 3 minutes, 50 seconds long. And I'll share my screen so you can see it. And if you want to turn your cameras off during this part, you can.
Welcome to Mindfulness at Wellbridge. Today's exercise is about befriending stress. So take a moment to arrive and settle in and simply notice yourself sitting. As you sit, know that you're sitting. And as you breathe, just know that you're breathing. And as you're sitting, notice the position of your legs in the chair or the cushion. Noticing that some muscles actually need to be engaged and maybe even a little stressed in order to maintain the position that it's in. Take a moment to just notice how those muscles have to be engaged right now. And as you observe which muscles need to be a little tense, you might also notice which muscles in the legs don't need to be stressed. Where is there an absence of any tension in the body? Being open and curious and just interested in where there might be stress in this particular part of the body, befriending it and getting to know why there might be any tension in that space. And similarly, befriending any absence of stress there. And now I invite you to do a brief body scan from head to toe, noticing where else in the body you might be noticing stress or tension. Sometimes we hold stress between the eyebrows or in the jaw. At other times, we'll hold stress in the neck and shoulders, or maybe even the back. In this moment, we're just being curious about where there might be stress held in the body and befriending it, getting to know what it's having to say. Not trying to change anything about it, just acknowledging it. And continue scanning the body, noticing where there is stress and where there might be an absence of stress. Throughout the day today, you might do a body scan, just noticing where you're holding tension or stress in that moment, recognizing that in order to do something about it, we have to recognize that it's there. As we become increasingly mindful, we become increasingly aware of the body and the more aware of the body, the more we can become aware of how to regulate what's happening inside. Thanks for practicing with me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. So I don't know if you liked that one. If you didn't like that one, I was a little worried when I picked it when it was befriending stress. I was like, what? But then when I tried it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, it makes sense. We all experience stress. And I don't know about you guys, but mine is right here sometimes. Right there in my forehead and right here in my neck. Yeah, did you ever have one of those days and you're like, oh my gosh, my neck hurts so bad. And you're like, what did I even do? You were just stressed about something. Yeah, I do that as well. So I know that these last couple weeks can be very stressful for some of you or all of you and me as well. So it's important that we recognize that stress and we start thinking about, okay, how are we going to cope with it? So we finish, right? And we finish in a way that is good for us, but also we're still okay, right? We are sleeping, hopefully some, right? I've been sleeping terribly lately. So I don't know about you guys, but so remember that these slides are posted after class so you can practice some of these things. All right. So today we're going to start our last section in finance, which is loans. Okay. And this is the information you need to complete parts 4 through 7 of your vehicle project that will be due 1 week from today. Okay. So once we go through the information from today, you can start on that project. Okay. So you have your mini lesson. It was supposed to be due last night, but literally about half of you did it and half of you did not. So I extended it till tonight. So get that done because you don't want a 0 to go in the grade book, I'm sure, at all at this point. So here's an interesting part of loans that people make mistakes on a lot is we need to round up for the bank. Okay. And what that means is, have any of you bought a car before? Anyone bought a car and paid it off? Okay. So when you get close to paying off your car, your last payment is never the same amount as all your other payments. Okay. And that's due to interest and the way things are calculated, right? Because we have to go to the nearest penny. So instead of your last payment being bigger than all your other payments, we round up on our loan payments. So then our last payment is at the most the same, but usually a little bit less than our payments have been. So if you have a car payment right now, you could look at your payoff amount and you'll notice how it's different. So if you like just, unless you're at a 0% interest rate, so you can't just take your total that you owe and divide it by how many payments you have left because it won't work out exactly the same. So for example, if you're using the TVM solver or your formula and you get an answer like $879 and then it says 0.16432, rounding rules would say we would stop at 16 cents. But if it's a loan payment, the loan company will round up to 17 cents instead of 16 cents, even though it breaks rounding conventions. Okay. And it's just for that reason. So at the end, you've actually paid off the amount, right? Instead of shorting it. Because if you think about it, this amount right here is almost half a penny, right? So if we round down, we're going to be short a half a penny every month. And so we won't have paid off the loan. So if we round it up, we're actually overpaying by half a penny each month. And so then our last payment will be less. Does that make sense to you guys? So be careful. You're going to get super annoyed if you're doing your loan stuff on more and you keep getting it wrong and you're off by a penny. Yeah. Okay. Let's just take a look at what's happening this week. We're doing loans Monday, Tuesday. This day, I'm not sure we'll be completely done with loans yet. So that's why I reserved that, because you can see we already went through over half our class and we hadn't even started loans yet. So I wanted to make sure we reserve this day for some more loans. And then we're going to review. We might start reviewing here, but we're going to review on Thursday. And then you can take your test anytime after class Thursday or Friday, but we're not taking it during class. Okay? Make sense? Okay, so that's this week. Then next week, your vehicle project is due on Monday. We're going to do a couple little assignments called in-class dimensional analysis and proportional reasoning. And then on Wednesday, the 12th, we're going to start our final exam presentation. Okay, so remember, we don't have any class on Thursday because I'm going to be out of town. But Wednesday, we'll have class, and then you'll finish your presentations on Monday. So everybody's here, I think, except for Jenday. I can just keep track right now. Is there anyone who knows they would rather go on Wednesday the 12th than wait until Monday the 17th? Is there anyone who knows they want to go on Wednesday the 12th, their final project? All right, I see some hands up already. Okay, so let's see. Wednesday, I'm going to write it down right now, and then I'll send you an email. Okay, so you know you're positive you know you want to go then. Anyone prefer to go first? Or does it matter? I know I had Amanda and Olivia. Oh, Olivia said I'll go first. She don't care. She's like, as soon as I go, I'm done, right? Well, you do have to pay attention to everyone else, but that's minor after the stress of your presentation is done, right? Okay, so Olivia and Amanda say Wednesday. Anyone else prefer to go Wednesday? Everybody can't go Monday, just so you know. I need like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need like 3 more people. Valerie, you want to go Wednesday? Okay, perfect. Valerie, Wednesday. Anyone else Wednesday? I need 2 more. Oh, Yesenia. One more at least. Anyone volunteer? Deshay, Angelina, Ashley, Malachi, Aaron, or AJ? One of you's got to go on Wednesday instead of Monday. Anyone? Nobody's going to pick? You're going to make me pick? I'll just put your names in a hat. You know. Nobody wants it over with on Wednesday so they don't have to worry about it all weekend. Okay, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be AJ, Malachi, Ashley, Aaron, Angelina, and Deshay. All right, since Jenday's not here, I'll put Jenday down for Wednesday. If anybody changes their mind and wants to switch to Wednesday, I'm sure Jenday wouldn't mind. Otherwise, the rest of you, so that's AJ, Malachi, Ashley, Aaron, Angelina, and Deshay will go on Monday, the 17th. Anyone particularly interested in going first or last on Monday? Nobody cares. The rest of you don't care. So perfect. We'll just put you in whatever order on that Monday. Okay, so I'll send you a reminder of when your presentation is. Okay, good job. Now, so that's all we have left. I know, it's crazy. Let's talk loans. We can still use the TVM solver, or you can use these two loan formulas. You're either going to solve for P, which would be principal, or you're going to solve for payment. So here's how the questions would go. If you, this is what the car dealership wants you to do. The car dealership says, what payment can you afford, right? You ever had that? What payment can you afford? Well, if you already know your payment, you can figure out how much of a car you can afford. So let's say, you think you can afford a $300 a month car payment. Well, what kind of car would that be depending on your financing? Or this one is you want to spend a certain amount on a car. Like a lot of you picked used cars in your vehicle, right? In your choice. And some of you, like, let's say you had a car that was $8,200. You could calculate what your payment is, which is what you will be doing when you do your car project. Now, listen to me very carefully. It says it on the assignment. Do not, I repeat, do not use a car loan calculator from the car place. It will not be correct. And this is a math class. I need you to show me the math. So you can use your TVM solver or you can use the formulas, but you have to show me all that work, okay? So do not use the loan calculator online. All right, so here's a handout for today. Let me give you this. We'll do the first one together, and then I will let you guys work in your breakout rooms on the next ones because it's really just moving things around in the TVM solver, or look, you only have two choices, right, to choose from. So here's the first question. Read through it after you get that document, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so you're all on the document, you're good. If we read through this, Marie can afford a $250 per month car payment. She can get a loan at 7% interest for 5 years. How expensive of a car can she afford? And then how much total money will she pay the loan company? And how much of that money is interest? So which formula should we use if we're using formulas? Should we use the P formula or the PMT formula? Put your answer in the chat and we'll do a 3, 2, 1. Should we use P or PMT? Which formula should we use? All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. We need to use the P formula because we already know the payment. That's kind of the clue, right? We already know the payment. So if we were going to use the P formula, I'm trying to figure out where to write it. We want to do payment times 1 minus 1 plus r over n to the negative n times t divided by r over n. So our payment would be 250, 1 minus 1 plus, oops, I should have parentheses around that, sorry. 1 plus 0.07 over n is going to be 12. How do I know it's 12?
Per month?
Yep, car loans are always monthly. Okay, car loans are always monthly. So it's going to be per month, it's 12. And then raised to the negative 12 times 5. You've probably heard like 60 months, right? That's a normal 5-year car loan, 60 months, divided by 0.07 over 12. So you could do it that way. Or you could use the TVM solver. If we're using the TVM solver, what would we put for n? We would put 15 times 5, oh, sorry, 15. 12, sorry, 12 times 5, which is 60. For I, we would put 7. For PV, that's what we're solving for right there. For payment, we would put negative 250. For FV, we want it paid off when we're done. So we want our future value to be 0. And PY and CY would equal 12. So figure out that car payment. And we can get it ready in the chat. So figure out that car payment and get it ready in the chat. And I don't care if you use TVM or if you use the formula. All right, you got it ready in the chat? Perfect. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Yay! Excellent. I got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers. I should be getting more. All you had to do was plug into the formula, right? You didn't have to think very much because we did the thinking together. Now, this is the part where you have to think. How much total money will she pay the loan company? How would you figure that out? How much is she paying? She's not paying them $12,625.50. How much does she pay them each month?
$250.
Very nice. $250 each month, so 12 months a year for 5 years. So how much total is she paying for the car? She should be paying more than $12,000, right?
15,000.
What'd you guys?
15.
Very nice. $15,000. Yes. Okay. So now on this part, let me erase this because we already used this. On this part right here, how much of that money is interest? So how much did she pay in interest? How would we figure that out?
Subtract A and B.
Very nice. So we would do $15,000 minus $12,625.50, and that would be how much she paid in interest, which should be $2,374.50. That's how much she paid in interest. Yes? Any questions on how to do that? All right, so the only thing that changes on the next problems are whether you're finding the payment or whether you're finding the amount. Now, it gets a little bit tricky when we get to, you guys try number 2 right now, and then we'll do number 3 together. So try number 2 right now, which is, you can afford a $700 per month mortgage payment. You can get a loan for 5% interest for 30 years. We're not talking about down payments or anything yet because we just want it to be fairly simple, and then we'll talk about down payments. So figure out what's the largest loan you can afford, which means the highest house price you can afford, including everything. So because you can afford a $700 per month mortgage payment. So we're using the same formula. Now we just have a different interest rate, different payment, and a different time. So try that. When you have your answer, you can just privately chat it to me if you want. All right. I got answers from a lot of you. That's so exciting. AJ, were you able to finish? And Angelina, were you able to finish? And Malachi? So when you did this problem, you got an answer of $130,397, and it said 0.1319 or something on your calculator. And a lot of you are like, oh, she said round up when it's a loan, right? Which I did say that, but there was one more word that you might not have heard. Only when it's a loan payment. Okay, and this isn't a payment, right? This is just a loan amount. So that should be your loan amount. That's the biggest loan you could afford. Okay. Now, how much money will you pay the loan company? How would you figure that out?
700 times 360.
700, you could do times 12 times 30 if you want, which is 360, right? So Yesenia, you're absolutely correct. Times 360 payments. The only reason I did it was so you could see that it's 12 months per, right? 1 year, and then you do it for 30 years. Yeah, so do that math and tell me what you get.
$252,000.
$252,000. Now, so how much money did you pay in interest? If you subtract, just like we did before, A from B, you will get the amount of interest. Look at this number. Now, Yesenia is used to seeing these numbers, but the rest of you might not be. Look at how much interest you pay on a 30-year loan if it's at 5%, which our loans right now are lower than 5%, right? A lot of them are at 3% or lower. Yesenia, what is it currently? Do you know?
Right now it's still around 3%.
Yeah. So you'd pay a little less interest, right? If you were at 3% instead of 5%. And here's what's nice about this. That's when you can have the conversation about buying points, right? Is it worth it to buy points or not, depending on where your interest rate is? And if you changed it to a 15-year loan, you could compare how different that would be and how much less interest you would pay. Yeah. But your payment wouldn't be $700 anymore. Right? Your payment would go up. So do you see, you could almost buy a whole nother house with your interest. Yikes. That is not uncommon, right? We pay a lot in interest if we're not careful. But people don't think about it because they're like, oh, I'm just making the same payment every month, every month, every month, every month. Okay. Okay. Any questions on how we got that? You okay? All right. Now we're going to buy a car that might be a little pricey compared to the cars you're looking at, right? A lot of you looked at cars that were under $10,000, but some of you looked at cars that are about this. So now we start talking about down payments. So it says we want to buy a $28,000 car. You can make a 10% down payment. Does everybody understand what a down payment is? It's very important. Basically, the down payment is the money you pay up front, and then that's not part of your loan, but you have to have that money the day you take the car, right? So the first thing we want to do is find our down payment. So we want to take 10% of $28,000. Can everybody do that? What's 10% of $28,000?
2,800.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you take, we want to do 10% of 28,000, which a lot of you just multiply, right? Like this. There are other ways to do it. As long as you're getting $2,800, that's fine. So here's the deal. You're at the car dealership. You've picked out your car. Your car costs $28,000, and you have in your hand either cash or a cashier's check or something for $2,800 that you're giving them that day. So then you are going to finance the rest at 2% for 48 months, which you're getting a screaming rate there, right? 2% for 48 months. But they run specials all the time, right? Yeah, 0% interest and those kind of things. So if we take the cost of the vehicle, which is $28,000, how do I figure out how much I'm going to finance? What do I do with that down payment?
You subtract it from the total cost of the vehicle.
Very nice. So we're subtracting our down payment,
Track it.
and that's going to be the amount we finance. Okay, so minus $2,800. And so we'll actually finance $25,200. So once we subtract off that down payment, now we can answer the question where it says, what will your monthly payments be? And you can use the payment formula, or you can use the TVM solver. Just make sure you pay attention. It's 2% for 48 months, right? Which is 4 years, 4 times 12. But I know when you guys are looking at your car stuff, it'll say 60 months, 84 months, right? 72 months. So that's what it's doing. It's taking the years and multiplying it by the months. Now, this is when you'll round up. No matter what the number is that you get, you'll round up to the nearest cent. So put your answer in the chat when you get it. Hooray, I'm getting some correct answers. So this is a great skill to have, to be able to figure out loans and figure out how much interest you will pay or not pay, especially if you're considering making a large purchase, right? A car or a house. So we're going to talk more about this, tomorrow. But I just want you to, now you can do your whole car project. Like, you don't have to wait a week. You can get it done. You can turn it in early. There's no worries about it, okay? So that's what you got for the payment, $546.72. Nice. How many of you want to buy a $28,000 car now and have a car payment of $546.72? That sounds like a huge car payment to me. I know it's not unusual, but it would be the death of me. I don't like to finance cars at all. I do have a car loan right now on my most current vehicle, and it's at 0%. So that I'm not upset about, right? But otherwise, I would not finance a car. I would save my money and pay cash for it. Yeah, sounds hard, but it is. Now, maybe your first car, you might need a little help from someone to get started, right? But just be careful. Don't get trapped in that I have to have the newest, latest, greatest car, and then your car payment is more than a house payment would be. That's scary. Okay, there's more problems. If you look here, here is, buy a house, put 10% down, 6% for 30 years. You can do that. There's the answers. Finance a car, 3% for 4 years. What's your payment? How much is your interest? There's the answers. Then here's a car. Now, this is an interesting question. So this is where we'll pick up tomorrow on number 6, because it says she financed the car and had a loan, had a 5-year 3%. And there's her thing. And then it says, how much does she still owe on the car after 3 years? So that brings up you know, a little more complicated math. You're going to have to think that through a little bit more. So we'll talk about that and then tomorrow. So tonight you can have a chance to finish your mini lesson if you didn't get to it last night. And then you can start on your more practice. You can do your vehicle project. You should do your info on taking the finance test so you don't forget to do that. And you can start on your finance review. So if you have some time, you should get as much done as you can, so then you can start working on that final, on your final presentation, okay? Otherwise, good job. I didn't put you in breakout rooms today because tomorrow we're gonna go over like one example and then I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms, okay? Good job. I will send you an email confirming when your final presentation is. And then I will see you tomorrow. I'm staying here. I just want to pull up the exit ticket. Hopefully I put in the answer right. Geez, I've been having lots of trouble getting the answer in correctly. So hopefully I wasn't too sleepy when I did this one. But you guys are great to check me on that. Yay, everybody's getting it right. Hooray. I'll see you guys tomorrow whenever you're done.